Offshore professional tour fleet makes its way to the coast of California to kick off its inaugural season. Sea racers from across the U.S. are set to put man and machine to the test with one goal in mind: to cross the finish line in victory. From San Francisco, the premier event of the Offshore Professional Tour. Hello, everybody. I'm Art Ekman, and working with me is Jim Hendrick. And Jim, an outstanding field.
Yes, 28 boats. The most powerful boats on the offshore fleet are here in 4 different classes, and it's going to be a rough course today.
All the glamour and the glitz, too, of offshore racing. The sounds of the engines even excites me.
And the movie stars that are on hand, one, of course, which is racing in this race, they're going to go onto 2 bridges, the Golden Gate Bridge and the Oakland Bay Bridge. That's where they're going to find their roughest water. The fleet will start off along Fisherman's Wharf at Pier 39, and from the start line, the boats enter a dogleg and head south under the Oakland Bay Bridge toward the first turn. After negotiating checkpoints 1 and 2, it's northwest past Treasure Island to checkpoint number 3. The boats continue west past Alcatraz Island, heading into the rough waters under the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, this area of swells, coined the Potato Patch, is where the skill of the throttle man will really come into play, and from there, out to Point Bonita, around the second turn and checkpoints 4 and 5. Once around checkpoint number 5, it's eastbound back under the Golden Gate Bridge. The fleet sprints along the waterfront with the city skyline as a backdrop. And it all winds up with a finish at Pier number 39, providing spectators with a sensational view of the action. Each class must make a predetermined number of laps to complete today's course. 7 laps, 134 miles for super and open boats. 5 laps, 96 miles pro 1 and 2. When the offshore fleet comes to town, there's a lot of action to be seen off the course as well as on. There's almost as much competition between the race teams during the days preceding the dropping of the green flag as on race day. In addition to the multi-million-dollar race boats on hand, teams use high-priced tractor-trailer rigs to haul the boats to and from the race sites. Some teams, like Al Copeland's Popeye's Diet Coke Racing, bring the finest accommodation on wheels for the crew to relax in after prepping the boat for competition. Need a good seat to watch the race from? How about your own personal helicopter? Many teams make them a must at every race. Another important factor is team recognition on the race site. Here's a simple solution: reversible, matching leather team jackets. Once the boats are gathered in the wet pits, ready to race, crowds of spectators gather to catch a glimpse of these magnificent machines and the men who are the driving force behind them. Some faces are familiar, others are not. But these races aren't just for men only. So as long as there are men and machines who dare to challenge the sea, there is sure to be a big show wherever they make port. There is a chance of rain later in the day, Jim. How does this affect the crews? It won't affect them if they're in canopies, but those who do not have canopies, it could feel like 1,000 BBs hitting them in the face if it's strong enough.
This is the forecast at race time.
It's a mostly cloudy day, temperature 55, seas are 3 to 6, kicked up by a northwest wind at 15 knots.
Earlier today, the bay was first tested by a list of local and national celebrities. Some with experience and speed, others with little more than a trip down a California highway. Decathlon winner Bruce Jenner was the victor.
You know, coming from the racing world, racing cars, the speed was fun. I mean, you're out there on this boat, and you don't have a very solid base on you. The boat is bouncing all over the place. You're probably going 50, maybe 60 miles an hour on that last little run. But I think I'm ready to go 140 in one of the big boats. I think I'm loosened up for it. I'm ready now.
These gentlemen aren't exactly loosening up. They're getting ready. Maybe the most exciting time of the day for the racers. Their hearts are pounding. Mentally, they're reviewing the course. They're adjusting the equipment, getting ready, anxious for the call. Start your engines. Earlier, during a more quiet moment, Jim was in the pits.
There are 30 boats that make up the field here in San Francisco for the OPT opener. They range anywhere from 24 foot up to 50 foot, like this Al Copeland's Popeye Diet Coke entry. Now, 4 different classes will race 4 different races at the same time on the same course. Let's take a look at what makes up the different classes. What we're really watching here is a race within a race. In offshore, there's a variety of classes competing on the same course at every event. Starting at the top, superboats. With few exceptions, throw out the rule book. Anything goes. Boats range from 35 to 50 feet in length, multi-engines allowed, cubic inch displacement unlimited, and a cost, well, they can reach a staggering $2 million for an entire year. The open class boats also range between 35 to 50 feet in length. However, most stay under 40 feet because their maximum restriction is 1,000 cubic inches with gas, 2,000 with diesel power. Primary difference between superboats and open, horsepower. Both classes always tough. Pro 1 division boats measure between 30 and 35 feet. They run on triple outboard engines, limited to 900 horsepower. They're generally kept stock. Difference between winning and losing, design, engine setup, navigation. And finally, there's Pro Class 2. These stock boats range between 24 and 28 feet with limited horsepower, designed to allow the entry-level competitors a chance to get their feet wet in offshore racing. And there you have it. 4 competitive races, 4 exciting races, all on the same course at the same time. Art, how about the starting lineup?
Eric's Reality, Gentry Turbo Eagle, Popeyes Diet Coke, and Lucky Strike for the Superboat lineup, followed by Team USA and Don Johnson, Little Caesars, and INXS.
We're all set to go. The pace boat drops off. Here comes the superboats.
They're the big ones leading the parade to the line. Eric's Reality hammers it on the inside. In fact, the 3 leaders, Jim, are 50-footers with Popeyes. Team USA is taking a little edge.
Here's Team USA. We have a camera in the cockpit. On the left is Richie Powers, veteran throttle man from Miami. On the right is actor Don Johnson. And with the number 50 on his helmet closest to the screen is Jonathan Sadowski. He is going to do the navigation today.
Jim, Little Caesars has motor problems right at the start. He's trailing by a large margin now as we see the 3 big 50-footers going by Alcatraz.
And look at the acceleration by Eric's Reality. Charlie Marks in the white boat. Pass up the Popeyes chicken, but the rest of the fleet giving chase with Don Johnson now edging out in front in second place. And look inside the cockpit. They're working, Art.
They're really working hard as Charlie Marks takes the lead. Of course, he was the national champion last year. He had a tremendous year, winning 6 of the 7 races, but these guys want to take that title away.
Yes, Don Johnson was a world champion a couple of years ago. He'd like to get that back and start the season out right here with a win. Skyline of San Francisco, and here is Don Johnson, Team USA, taking the lead as they head for Oakland Bay Bridge, followed by Eric's Reality with Charlie Marks. And back at the milling point, the opens are about to start.
And, Jim, let's take a look at the starting lineup now for the Open Division. US 1 Special Edition, followed by Dirty Laundry, Island Runner, Gentry Turbo Eagle. And then we've got Recovery, Thoroughbred, Chairman of the Board, and Don Q. Crystal. This Open Division, an interesting one. Very, very competitive, Jim, as they head for the starting line.
Now, they'll have to go the same distance, Art, as the superboats that just started before them, 134 miles. They were scheduled for 158, but because of some of the rough water and the threatening rain, they've shortened the course here today.
As they head to the starting line, it looks like US 1 and Chairman of the Board. They're breaking out in front here at the very start, Jim, as we hit the start line.
It's a running start. There's Alcatraz Island. Of course, it's been closed. It's now a tourist attraction. These boats will race around that a few times today.
And, Jim, it looks just as dangerous with the helicopter pilot right above him skimming along as they battle for the lead now.
Yes, they're coming under the Oakland Bay Bridge. Right now, Nuri Sabunja at the top of your screen, challenging Special Edition with John DeLee and his son J.D. They're almost abreast as they come under that Oakland Bay Bridge.
Sabunja, oh, he's a great veteran and Chairman of the Board, 39-foot Cougar, an English boat with Lamborghini engines.
And our superboat class is now turning checkpoint 3 with the leader, Don Johnson, as he heads toward Alcatraz Island on the back leg. And look at Art, he's getting a battle on that wheel.
When you make that turn out that far, you see the pressure inside the cab as they head right for Alcatraz Island right there. Former world champion in 1988, he developed an appreciation for offshore racing while filming Miami Vice. He's got 4 980 horsepower engines in that $1.2 million craft.
And he also has a 2-second lead over Charlie Marks in Eric's Reality, who's really pressing him now. Earlier today, Art Ekman had a chance to talk to Don Johnson.
What was intriguing about offshore racing, Don?
The worst part about it is that I won my first race. That's what ruined me. See, I could have walked away if I'd have lost. But I won, and you know, I love the competition, and I like motorsports and water sports, and having the two of them together is just got it all.
What was it like before that first race, when you know that you're racing against guys that have raced for several years, and did you get the respect immediately, or did they say this guy's an actor with a new toy?
No, they wouldn't talk to me for the first year and a half. But I just, you know, I just showed up and kept doing my thing and racing just like any of the other racers. And in '88, I was lucky enough to win the World Championship. And after that, they pretty much accepted me as one of their own and fairly real and
Something to be dealt with.
yeah, someone to be dealt with. Yeah.
What about your crew now and the people you've assembled for Team USA?
Well, I've been very lucky in that I've got my boat builder, John Sadowski, is also my navigator. So when he's out there with us, he's also constantly analyzing and checking and double checking the performance of the boat. And he's a wonderful navigator too. And aside from that, I got the best throttle man in the business, Richie Powers, RP, we call him. And there's nobody better. And he's the guy that you want to put your life in his hands when you're out there doing a $130.
New technology is always challenging. It means a lot of adjustments throughout the season.
Oh, we're always tweaking and turning and trying to find the best way to make the boat more stable and to get more power out of the engines and yet not hurt them. And we've done a lot of work on the boat this year. We've put some tabs in the tunnel that help keep the nose down, and when we get in rough water and when you get up in those top speeds, you want to kind of have as much control over the boat as you possibly can. So we've done some modifications to the boat to help us do that.
Welcome back to San Francisco. Chairman of the board has broken down. We have a new battle for the leadership in the open class, Thoroughbred versus a two-time open class champion, the special edition.
You know, our danger is always present at any type of motor racing. What precautions are taken? Let's let Dr. Matt Houghton explain.
Well, we have 17 medical rescue boats out on that course. They are basic life support equipped with some of the best water rescue personnel in the world. Our second tier, up above, are 3 Angel helicopters, all with jump rescue personnel ready to jump out and provide their assistance in the rescue procedure.
They do such a terrific job, and also a big note of thanks to the U.S. Coast Guard for their invaluable help for staging this magnificent race. Now, the Pro 1 and Pro 2 division boats are already on the water. They've started, and Team USA is the leader.
It's Alan Shapiro and David Perry, that Team USA entry into Pro 1. Here's the rest of the field. Stephen Dorsich in Risky Business. Steve Levine driving the Thoroughbred motor car. It's Rick Felson in High Risk. Mike Novick is driving First Defense. And in Pro 2, it's Great Adventure driven by Bill Gazelle. Vincent Madeline and his son in the Pop Pro Gear. Misbehaving with Gene Scoggins. War Cry with Paul Abreu. And Gone Again is driven by Rick Bowling.
Let's pick up the action now. The superboats. We still have a tremendous challenge between Team USA and Eric's Reality as they head for the Golden Gate. Jim, they don't look like they're having many problems with the rough water under the gate.
No, it does not seem that. And look at here. It's going to be a side-by-side battle as they go under that scenic bridge. And on the top of your screen, it is Don Johnson and his boat, Team USA, and Eric's Reality with a slight edge. And that is Charlie Marks as they now come to the next checkpoint. They'll be making a left turn here shortly.
Charlie Marks, of course, president of the Automated Datatron, a data processing company. Also, he's head of systems products that employs high school students, paving the way for college tuitions.
Now the lead is going to change hands as Don Johnson comes up in Team USA. He has 4 980 horsepower engines, while Eric's Reality, now dropping back to second, has 4 Gentry Turbo Eagle engines at 900 horsepower each.
Jim, that's a combined total of 7,520 horsepower with those two boats. Don Johnson's wife, Melanie Griffith.
Melanie, when your husband's out there racing, do you worry at all?
Sure I worry, but I just pray to God and support him a lot and try and enjoy it.
Actually, an entertainment career is a lot like this. It's always competitive.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
But you look a little worried today. I think he's going to be all right.
I do?
Yeah.
I'm really not. He's really good at what he does, and he really enjoys this, and so the kids and I are here to watch him and have a good time.
You support him?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
In third place currently in the Superboat division, Popeyes Diet Coke. Al Copeland not at the helm. Jack Clark, the veteran campaigner, is at the wheel.
And he's got a veteran throttle man, Bob Idoni, sitting right beside him. And they are going to challenge here before this is over.
And it's number 9, the Gentry Turbo Eagle, in 4th position, Jim.
And Norman Gentry, the son of Tom Gentry, who set the transatlantic race record from the United States to England, is in the cockpit, and the veteran John Connors is at the throttles, and he was also on that transatlantic record-setting run.
Lucky Strike follows up the Apache 45-footer with 3 850-horsepower Chevy engines.
Phil Mashinsky having a ball. He always does. He loves the race, that guy.
Little Caesars Pizza, number 69, still having all kinds of problems as we take a look at Lucky Strike. Here's Little Caesars. There it looks like they're working on the props.
And although Pete Markey from Farmington Hills, Michigan is losing valuable time, he'd like to finish when he starts, because any points in this race can total up at the end of the year and mean money in national high point ratings.
So that's cold water he's working on there in the bay.
Here's your Pro 1 leader, Team USA.
That's right, carrying the flag for Team USA in Pro 1 division, Alan Shapiro, and he's leading the way over Thoroughbred, number P39, another team effort in more than one division, Jim.
All the boats in this class are exactly alike. They're 32-foot skater cats. So it's driving and navigation and keeping your engine together that's going to make the difference here today.
Jim, an interesting shot there of the half canopy.
Just enough to shield them, Art, should they nose in. But here's a man, Rick Felson with his partner John Engel. They have no canopy. They really feel the wind.
Former stock class champion. He made the move to Pro 1 last year, Jim.
Here comes first offense, Russ Wilkin, the driver, Mike Novick, the throttle man and owner from the Detroit, Michigan area, and they are currently riding in 4th place in class.
Mike Novick, a fence contractor, big game hunter. What a competitor he is.
And he's going to have to tame down this haul for 1990. They're getting a rough ride around Alcatraz Island. You know, Art, offshore racing does truly provide a viable test track for the boating industry.
Jim, many of the technical innovations we see on these race boats eventually make it to your boats at home. Now, whether the hardware is modified for consumer application or it comes straight off these racing machines, this equipment, especially the stern drives, must pass the test of reliability on the racing circuit.
Originally, I was interested in racing, and that's all I was interested in, and I wanted to make a better system that would live, and now it's blossomed out into the pleasure boat market, and we've got drives in 150-foot boats now.
The durability factor is the primary focus both for the racer and the consumer. To prove its strength, the high-performance stern drive must endure rigorous testing procedures that can last years before entering the consumer market.
The engine, the way it's tested and run in a race, through its dependability and the durability it has to come up with, the drive development, as say on our number 5 drive, which was tested last year and released to consumer this year for pleasure boat application. Anything that is run in a race like that, has to be proven, and this is the ideal way of doing it, so that somewhere down the road it does end up as a very good consumer product.
The goal of most equipment manufacturers is to produce a quality product that meets the needs of both racing and public applications.
The stern drive that we produce for racing is identical to the unit that we sell for the recreational boater. The first year of our production, which was 1988, 100% of the product we built went exclusively to offshore powerboat racing. This was the last step in our testing phase before the consumer got it in his hands. This way we were able to guarantee that the product would be flawless.
Superboat leader, Don Johnson of Team USA, going down, Art. They've had a problem.
They're down near the Oakland Bay Bridge, and it looks like they're taking on a little bit of water, Jim.
Well, I don't know what's happened, but, attrition plays a big part in offshore racing. They must keep it together to win, and you can see a dejected crew. Now look, we have a challenge as Popeye's Chicken, driven by Jack Clark. Bob Idoni, veteran throttle man, coming up in the wake of the new leader, Eric's Reality. Charlie Marks the driver, and watch this battle.
Charlie's not going to want to give up the lead right here, but Popeyes, this is an interesting story. This boat coming out of nowhere, and they put a lot of money getting this one back on the water.
Yes, because of the new OPT tour, Al Copeland said, hey, I'd like to have a couple of boats. They have a boat in dry dock right here now waiting should this boat had not been ready.
Well, this boat certainly was ready. Look at that. Charlie Marks dropping back to 2nd place. Popeyes taking it over.
And Charlie Marks is a man that knows what he's doing. He's been battling so far with Don Johnson. Now that Team USA is out, he may say, hey, Popeyes, go on ahead. Let's see if you can do it. I'll lay back and just keep pace. Anything can happen. Usually does.
Charlie knows how to save a motor, too. He did not have an engine failure all last year.
And as they come under the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, it is Popeyes Diet Coke about 4 lengths ahead of Eric's Reality, driven by Charlie Marks.
And, Jim, the water does not look as rough as anticipated outside the Golden Gate right there.
And they're going by some of the spectator fleet that have wandered out into the course. They have to be careful.
Popeye's owner Al Copeland, a veteran innovator of the Superboat division, one of the founders of the first season of the Offshore Pro Tour.
I think it's fantastic. We have more superboats here racing than ever before in history, and we have a big fleet in open class, and we have pro stock in stock class, and I think we're going to have a great race this year, a great racing season, and I'm very excited about it. We're racing in major cities all over the country. We're racing in New York. We're going to race in Detroit, Miami, New Orleans, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and it's just going to be an incredible 1990 season. I think the best we have ever had in racing history.
Al Copeland hopes to be back in the cockpit soon. He said he'd like to return to racing the end of this year, or at least for 1991.
Al, out of Jefferson, Louisiana, the founder of Popeye's Fried Chicken, also now chairman of the board, not only of Popeye's, but also Church's. And in that takeover, the insurance company, it was a condition of the $400 million loan that he stay out of the cockpit, Jim.
Now we're looking at the Lucky Strike, Phil Mashinsky and Jeff Millenhausen, the team from Watchung, New Jersey, currently running third in the Superboat class, and it's a 45-foot deep V hull as they go under what seems to be our very smooth water under both bridges, the Oakland Bay Bridge and, of course, the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. Look at that water, really smooth. And this guy, you know what he does? Yeah, he's a CPA, a certified public accountant. He has a chain of gasoline convenience stations also. He looks very studious with the classes. Never thought he'd put on a helmet in a race like this.
Very smooth plane, the 45-foot Apache with three 850-horsepower Chevy engines, really cranking it out right now.
And Art, this boat was designed to take rougher water than what we're seeing today. One of the innovators of the Deep V in the Superboat class is Phil Mashinsky.
I decided to run a Deep V in 1988, ran the entire season. Placed second in the nation, won Superboat Driver of the Year, and ran the entire season on one set of engines. As a result, today we have a lot of Deep Vs running in the Superboat class, and I felt that I've started something to show the average businessman he can run in the Superboat class and not have to be a multimillionaire.
This Lucky Strike hull costs between $500,000 and $750,000, as opposed to a catamaran like Eric's Reality, which is about $1.2 million. Now, technically, Jim, what's the difference?
Well, the Deep V is the ideal boat hull for rough water. You can see the straight V shape with strakes and chines. It allows the boat to cut through rough water at maximum speed. You see the knifing effect. A catamaran, on the other hand, allows a faster run on calmer water. Total design creates lift similar to that of an airplane wing and serves to minimize drag. In other words, the Deep V hull knifes through the water, and the catamaran flies upon the water's surface. Deep V is a single hull. The Cat has two hulls bridged by what looks like an airplane wing.
And here are two cats flying in the open class right now. Thoroughbred trying to play catch-up.
Edwin Shear and team is trying to play catch-up to the leader, John DeLea, and his son, J.D. And look, he's coming into the wake. He's going to do it. They're going to be side by side approaching the Golden Gate Bridge. You notice in the open class just numbers, no letters, but when you see US 1, you know they were the best the year before, and they're the team to beat in 1990.
That's on the Jaguar Cat with two 750-horsepower engines. It was rumored that John was going to sell that national championship hull after last year.
I didn't sell the boat over the winter. I thought I had it sold, but the sale fell through. So we kept the old boat, and I'm glad we did, because here we are on race day, early April, and if I hadn't kept the old boat, I wouldn't have a new boat, and I probably wouldn't be here. So I feel real good about the old boat because it's probably one of the most reliable boats on the circuit. And I think, we refurbished and refitted, repowered it over the winter. So it's looking good, running good, and I feel pretty strong about the boat.
As he goes under the bridge, he has his son, J.D. DeLea, side by side, a father and son team as they go under the Golden Gate Bridge.
Currently running third and catching up is recovery with that same hull. Stuart Haim holds the record for the fastest time around Long Island, and he's got that same throttle man with him right now.
And they're in a semi-encapsulated cockpit also, just enough to shield in case they would nose in. And look at this battle between the Gentry and Don Q. Crystal for 4th and 5th place. They're just about side by side. And the boat at the top of your screen, Art, is a brand new boat this year.
Boy, they've had some problems in practice planing that boat. They need probably a little warmer water, I thought Kaiser said.
Yeah, Bob Kaiser said he didn't think that they were developing enough horsepower because they needed warmer water. Here's a brand new boat, the second in 2 years for the driver from St. Louis, Missouri, Joe Mock.
Dirty Laundry, a Coupe 40-footer with two 496-horsepower engines. The throttle man, Harold Smith.
Now we're back to Superboat action. We're looking at our leader, Eric's Reality, driven by Charlie Marks.
And Charlie naming Eric's Reality after his eldest son, who was struck with the reality of running the business while the old man ran off to play.
Well, he won many races last year, you know, Art, and I asked him if winning so many races last year, does he feel that would give him an advantage in 1990?
The only advantage I think that I seriously have over most of the other major competitors is the fact that when I got involved in the sport, everything that I went with was a proven winner. There was absolutely no experimenting at all as far as my engines, which were Tom Gentry's, my drives, my throttle man. If anything is really going to bother me this year, it's going to be the lack of Bobby Moore. But since I've taken on this new guy, Dan Campbell, who's young and aggressive and sort of keeps me young, you know, I just think that we'll win it all.
A lot of confidence from a man who did just about win it all last year, Charles Marks. And as he said, Bobby Moore, the veteran throttle man, is not in the cockpit anymore. And out of Kansas City, Missouri, comes young Dan Campbell, doing so far so good.
Charles, really remarkable. He began back in September of '88, and it was the last race before the World Championships, and he won his very first race.
Yes, he did, in a 48 Cougar Cat, all-white hull with a white deck. Here's our number 2 boat, Popeye's Diet Coke, driven by Jack Clark and throttled by Bob Idoni. They seem to have lost a little power. They don't seem to be going as fast as they did earlier.
When this boat first came out, there was a problem with porpoising, Jim.
Yes, and that happens in any kind of boat. They have to balance it. They have to change a lift here and a shim here. And look at this boat, how good the Lucky Strike Deep V Hull is riding here today. Currently in 3rd place, Phil Mashinsky, the driver, and he's got a riding mechanic back there that keeps checking under the engine housing, looking for something. I don't know what. Maybe he's just being cautious.
The Gentry Turbo Eagle. This catamaran is powered by 2 1,000 horsepower Gentry turbocharged engines. What a job he does on those engines.
Yes, and they're currently at 4th place. Here is number 96, INXS, with John Garrett and Ralph Martin teaming up.
Garrett, a newcomer to the sport, another Super V 47 Apache. Ralph Martin, the throttle man from Everglades Marina, where many of the Super Vs come from. INXS Lucky Strike and Little Caesars Pizza. In fact, Ralph's son, Trace Martin, is the throttle man for this boat, Little Caesars.
And they were down, and they're back in the race now after some repairs on the course, and they're currently running in 6th place, Pete Markey. Now let's check the open class. Here's our leader, Thoroughbred, number 39, currently riding first, Edwin Shear and company.
Shear winning St. Pete unexpectedly last year, and is coming on strong this year.
This is the former Systems number 7 boat owned by Bob Kaiser.
Next, Recovery, Stuart Heim. And Joey Imprescia, he owns a high-performance marine shop in the New York area. Joey, he's quite a personality.
Yeah, Stuart Haim nicknamed him Hollywood. They're currently running now in 2nd place with the U.S. number 1 special edition with the D'Elia boys. John D'Elia and his son J.D. currently running 3rd.
J.D., the youngest throttle man in the open class, but experience is the key here. They're 2-time champions.
Whoa, look at him come out of that water right now. That's when the throttle man has to get off. Otherwise, he'll wind those props so tight he'll bust something. Here's Don Q. Crystal, number 88. The Sorrellis boys, Juan and Felix, currently running in 4th place in open class here today.
They made a big jump this year from pro stock, and they were the world and national champions in pro stock. They're leasing this boat as they wait for their new high-tech one to come in.
And, of course, Bobby Kaiser, number 7, running in 5th place. He's had some problems here today, but he seems to be running on plane pretty good. I asked Bobby Kaiser if the new Gentry engines that he put in this year in this new hull would improve his speed for competition, for speed and durability.
Oh yeah, well we need a lot of power for this hull because we originally designed it around some different motors that are pushing over 1,000 horsepower. So Gentry's, my motors are the small block turbocharged motors that are pushing out about 950 horsepower apiece, so we feel real confident. They're a proven engine, and I have a proven Arneson drives, and that's what we needed. We needed a little more durability, so hopefully we'll find that this year.
He also has safety. Those are F-16 canopies, both for Errol Lanier, his throttle man, and for himself, Bobby Kaiser, the pilot of the 7 Gentry Turbo Eagle in open class.
Makes it look almost like a Batmobile. Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock, brand new boat. He made the switch last year when he was so displeased he fired his entire crew, including the throttle man.
And he's currently running in 6th place here right now in open class.
A new leader in the Superboat competition as Eric's Reality is down.
And the new leader, Popeye's Fried Chicken, was not even scheduled to be here today, Art.
actually, the boat was mothballed. It was supposed to go in a museum. and at a last-minute meeting, we decided that we'd take it out of retirement. It holds present course speed record of almost 110 miles an hour, so we knew it was a good boat. And so we've been working on it 4 weeks, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. We had a trim problem with the boat, and we've taken care of that. And other than that, basically, it's the same boat that we ran when we broke the record.
So the boat was not supposed to be here, but either was Bobby Idoni. This throttle man has retired a couple of times. He keeps bouncing back, and today he has that boat in the lead.
Popeyes in the lead, as you said, heading down past the marina area in San Francisco, on its way to Fisherman's Wharf, and in that lead, there's nowhere else that Al Copeland would rather be than in that cockpit right now.
Instead, he's upstairs in the chicken chopper observing, and at this point, he has to have a smile on his face. Here is Gentry Turbo Eagle, Norman Gentry, and John Connor, the throttle man, currently in second place. We've had some attrition already. 3 boats are out. Team USA, Eric's Reality, and we now get a report that Lucky Strike is down, because here is your third place boat right now, INXS, with John Garrett and Ralph Martin. They move up to third.
A die-hard deep V, boy, they can take a pounding.
Yes, they can, and this boat is not that slow. But right now, he just seems as though he wants to keep it going. Sometimes you just sit there and you can win a race by outlasting everybody else. And look at this boat.
And we thought it was down and out, but it's back in there, moving up Little Caesar's Pizza.
So we have, in order, Popeyes, Gentry Turbo, INXS, and Little Caesar's Pizza. The top 4, 3 boats are out. Here is the open class. And 27-boat recovery, Stuart Haim, Joey Impression. Look at, they're really moving, and the water has roughened up.
A lightweight Jaguar hull. It'll be interesting to see how they can keep it going in that rougher water.
And rougher water is true offshore ocean racing. Stuart Haim is a man with a mission.
The idea behind this boat, it's named Recovery, and the idea behind it is to raise money for cancer research, and also, wherever applicable, to give hope to people that have been struck with the disease, where there is a chance, or to show them that there is a chance that some people that are sick can get better. I was visited in the hospital when I was sick by a friend who had gone to high school with me. He had been sick 7 years earlier, and he walked in, he looked terrific, and he said to me, "You're sick, but you can get better," and it changed my life. And I want this boat to be the same kind of message to other people wherever they can see it.
This is his new boat. On the old boat, he had names of the contributors, and he continues to rake in that money for charity. The craft built by Jack Clark, who's driving the Popeyes machine today.
Yeah, Jack's quite a talented guy. Recovery doing well now, leading in the open class here in San Francisco. Our second place boat, Thoroughbred, is coming around now. Thoroughbred with Edwin Shear. Now, these guys have just maintained a steady pace all day. A lot of times these guys have the attitude, hey, this is the first race of the year. Let's not break anything, let's feel our way.
In third place, Special Edition, J.D. and John, defending national champions in the open division.
They seem to settle the groove too, Art. They are now sitting in third place, just wait to see what happens.
In fourth place, Don Q. Crystal. And Jim, a rather unusual looking canopy now.
It's what they call the coupe style. It's an extension of the windshield up high enough that it clears their head. They're protected on the side with an enclosure, but it's open on the top.
Almost like a roll cage type effect. Now, Dirty Laundry. Joe, Mark has some problems here.
Oh, this brand new boat, you can see him slowing down. And, of course, it looks like he's going to be through for the day.
The battle on the sea in San Francisco. Jim, has become a race of attrition, actually. Popeyes now with a sick engine.
And I'll tell you one thing, he's been, well, he wasn't running all 4 for the last 2 laps. They were just hoping they could keep going because they had a big lead at that time, but due to the attrition to Eric's Reality and Lucky Strike and Team USA. But now he's down to 1 engine. He can't keep that heavy boat on plane. He will not finish, I am sure. Here in this open class, the Special Edition early leader out, Dirty Laundry with a brand new boat out, Island Runner out, and Gentry Turbo Eagle also out of the race. In Pro 1, Risky Business is out. Misbehaving, Pro Pop Clean. We're down to 12 boats out of 28 that are running. Here's one that is. Norman Gentry in the Gentry Eagle.
He takes over the lead. Consistency, the big factor for Tom Gentry's 38-footer.
This INXS, this is a story with John Garrett. This guy only raced 1 time last year, placed second. He could challenge here before it's over today.
Even though INXS is a new boat, it's got proven, tried, and true equipment. John Garrett counts on the endurance factor.
a big cat has about 25 miles an hour on me, which is, I mean, to have 5 miles an hour on another boat is a lot. To have 25 miles an hour is just unbelievable. But the difference really is handling. I mean, when the waters get rougher, the V's can handle it better. And anytime you have a change in any kind of water condition, I mean, from 3 foot to 6 foot, the deep V's can adjust. Where the cats, they have to, you know, they have to have a good throttle man that's making all those adjustments. They have to slow down. So what wins races is not how fast you can go for a mile. It's the average speed around a lap.
The average speed around 134 miles may prove it today. The attrition is high. Those that keep going have a chance.
Jim, it's not only attrition right now for the boats, but those drivers and crew members have to be getting tired, and they have to be reaching back with all the pounding they receive.
A lot of these boats, they sit down. The old boats, they used to stand up, and they would take a tremendous strain on their muscles and their knees. And they would stand up in the bolster so that when they saw a wave, they could kind of let their knees go loose so they would not jam and have sprained knees, etc.
But they still came back with stress fractures in the bones because of the fatigue.
Right now, the open class, and here's Recovery, is really battling right now, Stuart Haim, and look who he's battling. We thought this boat was out, we reported earlier. I'm sorry, we're wrong. You can't count the lead guys, John and J.D. out there right back in it, and they've taken over from the earlier leader, Thoroughbred. This lead has changed hands all day.
Well, to me, the open class is the most exciting class, even though you've got the great power of the super boats. But all day long, we've had 3 craft going back and forth into that lead. So many lead changes in this open class.
Here is your third place boat, Edwin Shearer, Bob Galan. They're teamed up. They're not out of it by any means. They picked up speed and they'll just sit there in the hunt. They still have some 50 miles to go.
Whoa, look at a light on the right side.
And look at the fourth place boat. Takes a bounce, Don Q Crystal. These boats are hitting some rough water now. This is what we were looking for all day, and it didn't materialize till just about this point in the race.
And they could be getting down in fuel, therefore making them lighter, Jim.
That is the absolute truth. They're now getting a little lighter as they get near the end of the race.
Oh, that looks like a fun ride.
I don't think I'd want to be in there. Here's your update on Pro number 1, and by gosh, it's P39, the Thoroughbred, but it has damage. Look at the stern, back by the engine. A tremendous hole.
As long as he keeps going, he can stay in that race. He's the only one left in Pro 1.
And here's a surprise. INXS has taken the lead as the Gentry Turbo Eagle has dropped off and is out of the race. And here's our update of the Pro 2 leaderboard. Gone Again is first. Great Adventure second. War Cry is third. And take a look at who's coming down for the checkered flag. His first race ever. Thoroughbred survives the course. He's badly damaged. He's the only boat to finish.
Steve Levine of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the checkered flag.
And I'll bet you that's a thrill for those guys. They've damaged their boat, but they won't care. Here's a look at our open class as they're getting near the finish line. Recovery, Stuart Haim and Joey Prussia have taken the lead. They're in first place in open, the number 27 boat.
Special Edition has dropped off the pace, and coming up next is the Standby. Boy, he's consistent. Thoroughbred.
Edwin Shearer. Sheer Delight is a boat he once had. Now he's got the Thoroughbred part of that racing team, number 39.
And currently in third, right behind Thoroughbred, is Don Q Crystal, as you'll see him coming into frame right there.
And that's, of course, Juan and Felix Sorrellis. They're veterans. They've been there before, and they're currently in third place in open. Now, we're coming up for the finish of Superboat. Boy, do we have a surprise here today, don't we?
One thing becoming consistent, when the big guys, Popeyes, Gentry, etc., all the big ones blow, the deep V comes home.
And he comes home by being consistent, not being a rabbit, just sitting in the slot. He wins. INXS wins the Superboat for the first race of OPT history here in San Francisco.
History seems to repeat itself. The Worlds, Peter Markey came through. In the Worlds in '88, Don Johnson came through. When the big cats went down, the Deep V succeeded. Here's the order of finish now for our Superboat competition. INXS, the winner, followed by Little Caesars, Gentry Eagle, Popeye's Diet Coke, and Eric's Reality. After INXS, the others awarded position with the distance traveled before they went out. Jim Hendrick is at dockside.
John Garrett, I can't believe the first time you ever raced, you finished second. Second time you raced, first race of this year, you win it.
I don't know what to say. We're running so slow from the beginning of the start because we had problems with our center engine. Everybody just kept dropping off like flies.
Well, actually, offshore racing sometimes is the true attrition test, because those who outlast anybody else can actually come in and get the checker flag.
Yeah, and I think that coming out here to San Francisco for the first time and being the beginning of the year, everybody's trying new types of equipment. I wasn't trying anything new, had a lot to do with it, so we just kept to the basics.
Nearing the checkered flag right here, Recovery, the leader of the open class, passing by our cameras on Alcatraz.
Early finishers are in. The spectators had a good view of this first OPT race ever. A man who started out as a competitor but became an early spectator, Don Johnson. Art's with him now.
Don, things were looking powerful there for a while. The guys put on a good show in that first lap, and then all of a sudden, huh?
Well, you know, unfortunately, that's racing. You know, we've just been plagued by little things, you know, and it's heartbreaking and it's tough, you know, but we'll be back. Next week we'll be in Long Beach, and hopefully we'll be in the winner's circle.
And now the open finish. And here comes Stuart Haim and Joey Impressia in the open class entry, number 27, Recovery. What a story. These guys just hung on, and they have now won this first OPT race. The winner of the open class, Recovery. And this young man gives all his winnings to the cancer research. Here's the final order of finish. Recovery, Thoroughbred second, Don Q Crystal third, Special Edition fourth, Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock finished fifth. And the average winning speed over 83 miles an hour. Let's go to Art Ekman and the winner's dock.
You really weren't with the leaders right off.
Not at all. In fact, I think out of 8 boats, we were probably 7th or 8th at the start. I put my trust in Joey, a.k.a. Hollywood. He said it was going to be his race. He was planning it, structuring it the way he wanted. And I knew in the back of his mind he had a plan. I think what he had really in mind, he wanted to mimic what he did in Sarasota a year ago. We wanted to dedicate this win to my friend Andy, who died a year and a half ago from cancer. He didn't have his own recovery. And to all the people that weren't so fortunate. We're here to raise money for research. We're here to give hope to people where perhaps there is an opportunity to get better, and you're looking at a living success story. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very nice young man, very intense, and as he told you, all the proceeds of his winnings go to the American Cancer Society to aid in research. Now, Art, how about the Pro 1 result?
The winner, Thoroughbred, running the entire distance. The order of finish based on distance traveled, Team USA high risk, first offense, and risky business. That's the Pro 1 results. As we take now the Pro 2 results, Gone Again, the winner, followed by Great Adventure, Warcry, Misbehavin', and Pop Pro Gear. The fans now with a chance to get close to their favorite race drivers and crews as the awards ceremony is underway, Jimmy.
I know it's been a long, hard day. Some of these guys are going to be walking a little sore tomorrow, taking a pounding in those different boats, but right now, they don't care. It's a happy feeling, even those who do not win. They competed. That's the most important things. They battled the elements, and they survived. And it was a great premier event for a new organization, OPT.
Jim, it was a race of attrition, wasn't it? If you could hold on long enough, you had a good chance.
Well, we predicted rough water, Art, and all of a sudden it didn't materialize. The guys came in and said, it wasn't that bad. But if it wasn't that bad, we have boats on the beach, we have boats with holes, boats that lost their transoms, boats that made it to the crane before they sank, and those that survived this course today in this first race of 90, those guys were the winners.
And as you saw, the action was great. Our second stop on the Offshore Professional Tour, Long Beach, California. Join us then. Thanks for being with us.